So let's restart the seminar, and we said we will change a bit the order of the presentation. So we are happy to give the floor to Radka Rimanova and Lucy Pankantar-Suka from the Central Library of Charles University, with a presentation, a contribution on the effects of extraordinary pandemic access to digitized collections. Radka and Lucy, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Give me 1 second to share my screen.
Sure.
Is one sure? Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Great, great, great. Wonderful. Thank you. So let me thank you once more for this nice time with you, even in the online space. I would like to very briefly share with you experience of Charles University with extraordinary pandemic access to digitized library of millions and millions Czech publication. Let me briefly explain why access to digitized collection was so important. At Charles University, and it's almost on every university in the country, we have only a small percentage of e-books which are available in Czech, and not every field of education is covered. So there is a huge need of basic study text in Czech, and for some fields, for example, pedagogy, it's absolutely essential to have this study literature in our mother tongue. Czech language is a small language group and quite a huge issue. It's not issue, but in this case it is. It's international. Oh, it's such a crazy word. I'm sorry. As I already said, the Czech language is a small language group, and we are not so familiar with English. We have publication habits to publish mostly in English to be international. So not every Czech ebook is available in Czech. And also, huge issue is that there is no national level service for academic or library ebook access. So platforms with Czech books very often are only for individual users, and there is a problem with authentication. Therefore, Czech ebooks are not easily accessible, even we are doing our best to have it. Let's move on to the main topic, and this is the COVID National Digital Library. Digital Library is a project of the National Library, and there is 1 million of publications, mostly in Czech, but also in some other languages. Usually in the normal times, this National Digital Library is available only on site from study rooms or from a library. So therefore we have some digital paradox, because taxpayers have limited online access to digitized publication, even though they funded these publications digitalization. So this is quite a huge issue. But on the March 2020, everything has been changed because on-site learning was prohibited for all levels of schools. So immediately everything has been transferred to online space. And in March 2020, we were very, very enthusiastic because everyone shouted, we can handle this, everything will be great. It's a huge challenge, but yes, we can handle this. Huge enthusiasm. So there was super fast agreement between National Library and Association for Theatre, Literature and Audiovisual, and they made agreement with National Library with this association to open National Digital Library. And this library was open for universities with EduID, which is Czech Academic Identification Federation. So this access was very, very simple for everyone. It was great, and our students, and not only our students, but every single student of university in Czech Republic was really satisfied, because this was absolutely necessary to have access to Czech literature. This National Digital Library has been opened with social DRM, which means no printing, no downloading, but no technical solution. It was only, let's say, polite request. Don't do that. Only this one, no technical solution. Since March 2020, there was a lot of things happened, and we have real turbulent days. Probably you know that. It's not necessary to explain it further. But during these days, the attitude of publishers really changed. We know that at the beginning, everyone was happy, enthusiastic, and let's say supportive. But at the end of days, it was, I think, in February 2021, publishers feel threatened by opening of National Digital Library, and they were asking for closing their publication in digital library. And even government tried to, how to say it politely, government tried to support with some budget publishers and explain that everything of this is necessary, but it doesn't work. And digital library has been closed in June 2021 unconditionally. But of course, we have a lot of conclusions from that. First one are its experience from our university press. We realized that there is a huge interest and awareness of ebooks. Wow, it's not surprising, but suddenly we have data that this is fact. Our university press tried to extend current license agreements for printed books by e-form of these books. Great. They realized that the quality ebook can be a reason for interest in print ebook. That readers are interested in quality and not in material type. So of course, it's great. Maybe I should start on the beginning, but never mind. We have Carolina University Press. It's a University Press of Charles University, and our ebooks are available for Charles Uni students on IPSCO and ProQuest platform. And for different students, we have some cooperation with other platforms which are available via single sign-on, and of course can be expensive for different students. So it's a plus and minus of this cooperation. But for Charles University students, publication from University Press is always available on this type of platform. Come on. Let's talk about social DRM. During almost 1.5 years of opening a digital library, Charles University has more than 8,000 unique users. It's a huge amount of students and teachers. And during these days, and from this amount of students and teachers, there were 3 violations of the digital library 10 cases. It was 3 suspicion for robotic downloading. 2 were actual violation, and it was misuse of open source code and its modification for personal use only. One case was a super interested and persistent reader. He manually documented a huge data amount for his own language research. So it was only suspicion, and this user, we explained to him everything, really apologized and explained to us everything. But from this amount of user, 8,000, there was no unauthorized distribution of data. So we can conclude that open access, this open access, it was not open, it was extraordinary opening. it's not abused as often as publisher fears. So there was no reason to shout that digital library threats publishers. Well, from this involuntary huge e-resource experiment in the Czech Republic, we can conclude some suggestions. First one is that COVID enhanced the interest in digital library. Great. It's a reason why this digital library is to be used by users. COVID enhanced the interest in the e-resource in general. I'm sorry for that, but thank you for that. We confirmed our assumption that the main target for professional publication is the academic community. We are also very happy that Ministry of Education support the availability of education text in the Czech language for students, and this support is in their own strategies. We confirmed that publishers prepared for academic access with single sign-on have a huge advantage for academic usage. Trials of e-resources, not only COVID ones, can be decision changers, confirmed luckily. And we confirmed, and we are very happy for that, that social DRM works and maybe works even better than the technical one, which can be often very, very expensive. To conclude it, our speech and our experience from digital library, it's be safe and be prepared and support your university press, support your student, and try to empathize your own thoughts to be better and to be prepared for everything. For my side, it's all. Thank you, all of you, for a nice 10 minutes, I hope. I think the discussion time is on the end of this panel.
Yes, you are right.
Great. So
Okay.
we can discuss it later.
Yes. Thank you very much for your presentation. And it's interesting to know that there is a social DRM. I heard about it the first time, and I wonder if DRM can be social at all. I don't believe, but maybe you have other experiences. Okay, Elena, you didn't start with your presentation. Is there any reason for that? Yes.
I'm trying to share. Okay.
Pardon? Okay. Yes, I think we know Elena already, and it's no need to introduce her. And she will talk about the academic library and enhancement of overall quality of the university's distant teaching and learning. This is very interesting during these corona or pandemic times. Please, Elena, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and sorry for the previous
Doesn't matter.
delay. Something technical came up.
Yes.
So my presentation, with my presentation, I will try to give an idea how an academic library can contribute to the distance teaching, learning, and research. Slide, please. Before I start, I want to give you some information about our university. Our university is a new established university. It's only 30 years old. It consists of 8 faculties, 800 staff members, 7,000 students. And of course, quantity is not what is the most important for a university, but the quantity. About the research and the teaching of each university, and our university at this time is ranked between the top 500 to 700 top universities worldwide. Slide, please.
again, there is apparently an issue because I cannot move forward. So try to share again.
Shall I try to share it, maybe? Go. Can you make it okay? The next, please.
Yeah, but it doesn't go to the next. I don't know.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
something.
Shall I try to share mine now for a second time? Maybe
I
I'm
would
more
suggest,
lucky.
Elena, to do the presentation. I mean, to do your presentation without the slides, because
Okay.
otherwise.
Okay. I can do it. Okay. I can do it from my laptop. Considering our library, I can say also a few information. Library is recently moved to a new building known as Stelios Ioannou Learning Resource Center. It's a full automated operation building and also is staffed by 42 staff members. A part of the working hours, which is extended hours working 24/7, we have a rich collection of electronic and printed materials, about 500,000 collection. We have 30,000 journal subscriptions and a rare books collection, which for which we are very proud of this, because it has been created upon the donation of very important people from Cyprus or abroad. The University of Cyprus Library during the lockdown period we used to provide very good services related to the teaching and studying needs of the university. We had the ability to move directly from physical presence to digital. So all the students became part of the semester running either by Zoom or team meetings. The working from home was immediately applied because each member of the staff had at that time their own laptop, corporate laptop. And we managed to have a very close collaboration with all relevant stakeholders, government, university authorities, national health authorities, etc. During the lockdown, we managed to have fully digital services. So we tried to move from physical or face-to-face services directly to online. We are increase our collection of books, either electronically or digital, to fulfill the needs of the community. We offer current awareness about the COVID, and we direct adjust to any government guidelines. We increase the content of our collection because we try to find any free of access and content worldwide, and also we had a good collaboration with the publishers. The physical access to the library became soon back because we had the chance and the opportunity to give space to the students. Apart from that, we had to close the library for the public, just to sustain our users in the university. And also we provide self-service automated systems, which was a benefit at that time because we give most of this to the university members. At that time and till now, we dedicated a special reading area for the distance teaching and attending of lessons. So this means that the students had a place in the university, in the campus, to attend the lectures without any problem either with connectivity if they were at home or in any other distraction maybe they had. The online services were always available for them, and also we managed to fulfill some requests from other libraries worldwide, and this was very important for us to give this help in general. Now the contribution of the library can be extended and be advanced in order to fulfill the needs of an academic community in this era, sorry. So we can be more user-oriented by designing web pages, especially for the needs of specific group, and also expand the existing online services to facilitate any need of need of the users. The content is very important since we have to move fully, I can say, from the printed to electronic and digital. And also the libraries have to introduce new initiatives in order to fulfill the needs of the research and the teaching of the campus, with applying the embedded information literacy services or embedded librarian. The bibliographic reference is an important service for us, so we can move to the digital bibliographic reference service, and also we have to advance our services related to more specific to open access support. And as we hear from the previous presentation, open access now change the role of the libraries and the librarians in general. So it's a new evolution, I can say, for the formation professionals. Also the technology used to be and also will be more important in order to link between the systems in the campus. And most important, the professional development of the staff with new ICT skills, and also more involved, to get more involved for the learning, learning, distance professional meetings, and any other a more advanced, let's say, approach to this everyday work. The inspiration and also the creativity of the staff is very important to introduce new ideas and also new solutions for them in case of learning and teaching. Last but not least, we have to see the new opportunities or the new challenges in a different and new approach. So the library leadership has to proactively and promptly react when this kind of crisis appear. And also they need to collaborate with the university in order to create the contingency plan development. Looking for opportunities is also very important, because any crisis has opportunities apart from the complication occur. And for better understanding and better sharing, experience sharing, is important to collaborate and also sharing experience between us, either internally or externally. The clear and direct communication between all stakeholders is very important, and also the strong online library presence is very crucial to be side by side facing and understanding of the needs in the new distance learning environment. At the end, just briefly to say, we have to build the resilience attitude and also be ready to see new opportunities out of this disaster or crisis. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Helena. This was fine and interesting, and it's an example of your endeavors are a good example for the endeavors of many libraries in Europe, and I'm very surprised that you are one of the libraries who have been closed for a very short time. This is very interesting. Because many libraries in Germany are still closed, well, let's say until summer, and our houses, our buildings are in the corona status yet. So we are not back to the normal situation. We expect this in the next months, but you never know what happens just in autumn and winter times. So we hope that we can be open as normal as before Corona, but in the moment we are still in this Corona modus a little bit wider than 2 months ago, but it is not the normal procedures we have in regard of opening. So interesting that you have a completely different experience in your library. Okay, fine. Our next speaker is Tatiana Petric, and she will speak about science in specific conditions in the libraries of the University of Zagreb. Tatiana Petric has been General Director of the National and University Library in Zagreb from 2015 to 2020, but now she works at University of Zagreb as head of the Central Office for Library Coordination. Tatiana, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Do you see my presentation?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Thank you for your introduction, and thank you for chance to present my university in Zagreb in a special condition. For open science, we need documents, but the first important for a library is the IFLA Open Access Statement, which support the principle of open access. Then we have a Croatian Declaration on Open Science, signed by faculty staffs and librarians of our university. Then we have a law on scientific activity in higher education, has enabled us to create an infrastructure of open science and institutional repository. And of course, the University Computing Center, an institution that developed an institutional repository with the cooperation of librarians. In order to be open, we must communicate through journals. So we have a portal Hrčak, in which are the journals of university. All information about open science and important links can be found on the university website. Look, this picture, this is our special condition. We have everybody problem with the COVID-19 and pandemic, but 2 earthquakes in 2020 in which the faculty of the University of Zagreb and dislocated faculty in Sisak and Petrinja were destroyed. They look like the show photo, but this year grants were allocated from European Union funds for the reconstruction of the infrastructure of the 24 higher education and scientific institution affected by the earthquake. The first example is a library of the Faculty of Philosophy, which launched an open access project, open publishing, in order to increase the visibility of faculty publication. Students need literature and to be made available urgently because it could not be borrowed. Librarians have also launched a virtual classroom for students to make it easier for them to write papers for studies. At the same time, the online issuance of certificates of returned materials was introduced, which is necessary for the complete of studies of students. In addition, it was necessary to adjust the internship for librarianship students and chose to maintain the internship in a hybrid form. Part was held in online environment via Zoom or Skype, and part was done live. Libraries actively involved and evaluate the scientific productive of the university. So another example is bibliometric services, who is automated via Microsoft Access database. Bibliometric analysis used by the libraries digital signed and stored in a digital repository where they are accessible via QR code. The Center Medical Library of Faculty of Medicine is involved in all activities of the home institution, but important is the new services. The selection of sources with the topic COVID-19 and regular reporting to the Ministry of Health and the members of the staff on the most relevant published scientific papers on certain aspects of the current topics stand out. It is very important in this situation. The Library of Faculty of Economy in a specific condition create a digital library that is made in an open source software package. In this way, students and employees are provided with reliable long-term access to digital content published by the faculty. The European Documentation Center, as a part of the two faculty in Zagreb, continue to support its users in the digital environment in accessing information of EU policy and law. There is a picture of a new integrated system of all components, faculty and academies of University in Zagreb, in which library create data for a system that takes into account open standard, open data, and open resource while respecting intellectual laws, as well as the public availability for civic science. You have seen our example of how business projects in the library are adapted in such a way to achieve your maximal efficiency and the speed of services. So for us it's very important. We are, for our users, know that although remote, we are always available to them. We are very optimistic about our future. Thank you for our attention. Our presentation is short, but I want to present you only specific moment for our university. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tatiana. Very interesting, this impression of the University of Zagreb and the activities about opening the university to the society and to the public at all. Okay, question are in the end of the session. Our last speaker is Susanne Blumesberger from the Vienna University Library. And she will speak about how the pandemic has opened up new perspectives. Susanne Blumesberger is head of the department Repository Management FIDRA. I guess that I have heard of this repository. And I think you will talk about the repository and the relation to COVID-19 and the whole context of the pandemic situation and the open access activities of your library. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Thank you. You may start, please.
Thank you very much. I try to share my screen now. I hope it will work. Can you see it?
Yes, we do.
Fine, thank you. Thank you for inviting me and thank you for the nice introduction. Yes, I'd like to talk about how the pandemic has opened up new perspectives, but not only for our repository FEDRA, but also for our communication. And we work in the field of research support at the University Library of Vienna. And I've been responsible for repository FEDRA for several years now. And now the head of the department. And our tasks include providing some tools like tool repositories and other applications for data management, as well as consulting for data management and data management plans. And it is very important for us to talk to researchers as much as possible to find out what they need from us and how we can support them. But it is also important for us to discuss with colleagues, to share knowledge in working groups and to be as open as possible for discussions. Yes, for discussions. And before the pandemic, we traveled a lot to our FEDRA partners in Austria. You can see our network, Italy and Serbia, and also to national and international projects all over Europe and to other universities in Austria. Even within our own university, we went from institute to hold meetings or to present our services to researchers. And the numerous face-to-face meetings with the computer center were necessary to coordinate developments and seek solutions together with our stakeholders. The pandemic put an end to this from one day to the next. There were no meetings, no more trips, not even meetings with colleagues in our own team. There were also no more chance encounters in the corridors, no more break time conversations at conferences, and no more cozy get-togethers after meetings, as you know. So we lost a lot. Nevertheless, I believe that we also gained. My thesis is that we have perhaps even gained more than we have lost if we deal with our experiences wisely. Why? First of all, we have acquired a lot of knowledge about online communication now. We know tools that we did not know before the pandemic, or use programs that we rarely used before. We have thus expanded our communication options. The second point is global meetings. We can participate in meetings around the world now with little effort and at low cost, saving money and also helping to protect the environment. The third point, events are now held online for hybrid and open to a wider audience, as this one. Meetings that used to be held on site and attended by a limited number of people are now offer free on the web and opening up new contacts. One example is a webinar series we started as part of the Fair Data Austria project, which is very well received across countries. And that's a very nice idea, I think, to open up the webinars. The next point is that the pandemic also had a major impact on education and training measures. So the conversation of teaching to a purely digital format has had numerous negative effects. If one thinks, for example, of the partly inadequate equipment of the teachers, but also of the students, of overloaded, inadequate tools, and so on. But one should also not forget that there were also positive side effects, namely faster access, possible also greater sustainability through recorded learning content. The demand for open educational resources and also the production has greatly increased. As you can see, we discussed about guidelines for establishing open education resources. The next one is internship. So practical courses which were often associated with high costs and a lot of effort can also be completed very well online, depending on the subject, of course. Research data management lends itself to this. In this way, students from other countries can also participate in time-saving internships that would otherwise only be possible for them with a great deal of effort. So we tried it out and it worked very good. And the next point, we have refined our communication style. We can talk eloquently with our boss, discuss with our colleagues, and joke with our team. And everything is possible now, I think. And some additional possibilities we won. One is the chat function. So we noticed that chat during on-site trainings, we used to ask fewer questions than we do now via chat. So it's a very good feature to ask questions for us, for our research data management training. So it works quickly and it's accessible and it's also practical for additional information. And the next one is screen sharing. So I think that's presentation on on a distant wall somewhere, but on our own screen. And however, the screen sharing function also makes it possible to explain context or give an insight into systems, like in our repository. It's very comfortable. Yes, the list is certainly not complete, but it should show that there were also positive developments during the pandemic. And we should continue to expand this because the goal should actually be to be able to use as many channels as possible. The more communication options we have in research and teaching or in our everyday professional lives, the better it is. But with all the transparency and openness, however, we must not forget about accessibility. The openness of the systems must not lead to other people being excluded. So that's all. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Susanne. Very interesting. If I may, I have a first question. You told us a lot of new electronic or digital services for communication, especially, but also for teaching education. There are any services you will not continue after the pandemic? Or do you continue with all these services even after the pandemic? This is very interesting from the perspective that many people don't like this distance which is be done by the digital communication, for example. They would like to have to be in buildings. They would like to have conversations in person and so on. And from that, what is your idea in your university?
I think that we will use all of our new tools and further on. And I think that it will be a combination of all our tools. So maybe that we have also again meeting in buildings and meet each other in rooms, but also we will continue with our meetings in this way because it is opener. I think it's a little bit a possibility to open up for everybody. So we saw it with the webinars. It was so nice to see that also people from other countries joined us, and they had no chance to join us if we did it in the University of Vienna.
Yes, yes, this is right. So you will go a hybrid mood. So in a way, yes.
Yes, but we have to learn to handle this hybrid. It's not so easy.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Are there further questions to Susanne, to Elena, to Tatjana, and to the both colleagues from Charles University? Please ask your questions. No question? I have a question to the auditorium, to the audience. Are there any libraries which are still closed or closed for the public in this audience? Perhaps you can give the sign with your hands, and then we have maybe an overview if there are any libraries which are still closed for the public because of Corona. No reaction? All the libraries are open? Are you sure? Okay, this is fine. There are no restrictions anymore. People can use the reading rooms. And are you, what do you do with hybrid communication within the library and with the users of the library? This is also an interesting point. Within the library, how do you organize your teams as hybrid teams? This is also a question we discuss very often, because sometimes the staff members would like to work at home, and they are allowed to work at home, but there are also scenarios or situation that is very useful. It would be part of meetings in person, you know, because sometimes it's better to discuss difficult questions or topics if you are around a table and you have a meeting in person. So how do you work with that? We will, at Humboldt, we will say this meeting has to be in person, and then all people will come, and we have our masks, and we open the windows and so on, and so we can make a meeting in person, and sometimes it's very fruitful. From my perspective, much more fruitful than 10 Zoom meetings where you have half of the meetings don't work, and on the other hand, you have very much difficulties to see the complicated Excel sheets on the screen, and many questions are the result of these wonderful Zoom meetings. So in many cases, Zoom meetings are very useful, but if you have to discuss about the budget or about difficult problems in your library, I think it's better to talk in presence to each other. This is my experience. What is your experience? Tell me. Elena, what is your experience during these 3 months when you closed your library?
At that time, we were very, let's say, sad because of the pandemic and the urgency of that at that time, because we had to move directly from our homes to our house, from our offices to our house. So we needed sometimes to adjust mentally and socially and professionally. So we had to face some new challenges. How can we work? How can we do everyday's routine from home? And we had very often virtual meetings through Teams or Zoom. So it was easy to communicate, but it was difficult to apply any ideas or solution for the problem. We had some people in the library as emergency staff. And after that, we continued to apply any solution accordingly. And the people who had to come at the office, they came, or we have a shifting, let's say. But fortunately, we are ready by coincidence, by good timing, let's say, because we had our corporate laptops with us already. We had the Wi-Fi, most of us in our houses, homes available. It wasn't difficult. The only difficulty we face was for cataloging materials, which were urgent for digitalizing or just to be retrievable from the users. And so some people came to the office or bring books to their house. So we had cataloging from home, let's say, not only working from home. And this thanks to our colleagues.
Okay.
Yes.
Very interesting. I read in the chat from Dominic Tate. Hi, Dominic. We met last year on APE, as far as I know. I remember in Scotland, we are open to the public, but with social distancing for staff. Staff whose job roles do not require them to be on site have the option to remain at home. Yes. How long they can remain at home? 4 days a week, 3 days a week, 2 days a week, or they can stay at home the entire week, Dominic? Do you hear me?
Yeah, I mean, technically the participants, since Dominic entered as a participant, cannot speak. They can just write in the chat. So this is
okay,
why
they can just write. Okay,
yeah, but I can.
Yeah, they can answer. They hear, but they hear me. She could answer in the chat. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. I also gave him the permission.
Yes, yeah. Okay, yes. So. Okay, fine. Sorry for that. It is interesting for me how this problem is solved in other countries. But perhaps I can ask someone else. Andreas, you have the same pronoun as me. What about your library during Corona?
Well, my library is the same as Elena's library.
Okay.
So I don't have any.
There's nothing new. I'm sorry for that. Okay, difficult. Paul, Raul, what did you do?
Well, we are now back to normal, 100% normal. And the only thing that is not normal, that is not like before the pandemics, is remote working. Because in my university, we can work 1 day a week at home. But the other days we are at the office. Students can access with no limits to the libraries, to the services. This of course doesn't depend only from the university. This also depends on the regulations from the regional government of Madrid. Different universities have different interpretations of the scope of the normality. And I must say that my university decided that the normality was going to be quite normal, actually. So during the COVID, we managed quite well in developing some remote services, in helping students, for instance, with training in databases, or accessing some databases that we had installed in specific computers. We removed some services like working group rooms, but we encourage students to use online rooms, so to say. So that was the alternative. During the lockout, all the collections were locked actually in the building, so there was no possibility to access them until late May. But we encourage teachers to look for open educational resources and to use research resources as teaching materials. So I think everything went reasonably well. Of course, it could have been better. But the most important thing for me is that we have changed a lot how we think and how we work. I think teachers are now recommending more electronic resources than before. We are having more online meetings than before. And of course, I prefer face-to-face in-person meeting. But now we have more meetings than before. And this is good because we can have more interactions, better coordination, and I think it's one of the good learnings of the pandemics in this last phase we have lived in.
Okay, yes.
Sorry to interrupt, just to say that Zoom is a bit more responsive now, so I was able to give permission to Dominic to speak. So if he wants to share and you want to ask the question again, he can now share with us.
Okay, fine. Yes, thank you, Dominic. I have read your you have read what you have written in the chat. It's interesting. How do you handle the problem in Scotland? Yes, we are more restrictive in Germany, but this is no surprise for you, I guess. Sometimes we are too restrictive, but this is typical for our mentality sometimes. But on the other hand, Humboldt Library is a big library. We have 30,000 students, or more than 30,000 students. My staff has about 250 staff members. So it is difficult you have some problems to keep all these people informed about the regulations, about home office, about the measures, hygienic measures, and anything else. And if you don't have any regulations, or if the regulations are not clear enough, to have always question, can I do this? Can I do that? I'm allowed to do this? I'm allowed to do that? And this takes a lot of time. So we have to organize it well, we try to do it in a very convenient way, of course, but I could imagine that from the perspective of other countries, it is pretty restrictive how we handle these problems. This is not just the mentality of Germans, but it is just the problem of the size of the institution. Smaller institutions might be easier in smaller institutions. In big institutions, it's really a big challenge to keep the people in your offices, or to communicate with many people about the work and about regulations and about perspectives, and people want to go at home and others want to go in the library, and so on. It was really, we have had many discussions about many details, and this is really a challenge, has been a challenge for us. I can imagine in your library you have similar experiences, Susanne, because these big institutions are difficult to guide, and so as more people you have, as more questions you have, of course.
Right.
But you don't get any person more, or any staff member more, to answer this question. You have to deal with these things, and to have it, yes, you have to be, there must be some kind of justice to all staff members, and so it's not easy. But I'm optimistic that we will better times, and the condition for that is, of course, a vaccination, and more staff members are vaccinated, and this makes things much more easier than before. And we have not a lot of corona cases, and so people have been tested, of course. So it works. This works quite well. Yes. So I have another chat who's by whom Lucy Panchal Sousa. Yeah. In my team, we have 2 mandatory office days to discuss everything in person and have small talks in the kitchen. Yes, this has been not allowed for a time in my library. For the rest of the week, the home office is obligatory. Okay. Yes, what we have to do now, Laura? Should I wrap up the entire day? This is difficult. I tried it for my session, and I can say about the session of Elena that we learned a lot of different service scenarios for open science and for open access. Of course, they are pretty different because it depends on the disciplines. It depends, of course, of the size of the institution. And it depends, of course, of person, of staff that you can provide for these new services. My question to open science is always, of course, libraries do a lot for open science, but I'm pretty sure that libraries can't solve this change. We can make open access, we can provide data management, we can support data management, but to change the culture, other members of universities have to have the say, you know, like the executive board, for example, or the faculty board, for example. And the idea that libraries can change the world to open science is, from my point of view, doesn't make any sense. We can support, we are supporters for the researchers. This is our task, and we are very professional with this task. But the decision about this new culture of research and the budgeting, this new culture of research, this is the task of other people in the universities. We can counsel these other people. This is right, but we can't make the decisions for them. This has been to decided by yes, as I said, executive boards, faculty boards, institute boards, and so on. This is my impression, and it will take a lot of time to switch it, because we have many young researchers, but also many elder researchers which are not willing or not able to change their procedures in research work, and they say, I'm working open, but not according to the ideas of open science that we have, or that European European Commission has. So I think this is really difficult to find the right way to motivate and to incent researchers to this switch to open science. If they don't like, they won't do it. If they don't understand it, they won't do it. And for a librarian, it's not easy to convince researchers or many researchers to open science. So we do our best. I'm pretty sure about that. And they are very good. We have very good success with our services about open access, of course, even with open data, because open data is in many cases also a very informatic field, a field which is something for libraries, but all the preparation of data or the long-term use of data is a question which is combined with informatic education and with informatic skills, and this is not normally for librarians, from my perspective. I don't know so many librarians which are really able to handle this research data. In our case, the research data management is located in our Rechenzentrum, computer center, and we are better to support the researchers by instructions or by management plans, data management plans, or by explain what data are. But the technical part of this game is definitely in the computer area, and I think this is very difficult for libraries. But they have to say, we can't do this topic, we can't do this this task without the computer center or other support from informatics skilled people. This is my impression. Perhaps you have different opinion about that, but this would be interesting for me. But from my perspective, this is completely necessary that you have knowledge and expertise in informatic to informatic topics. Otherwise, it won't work. How big is your IT department, Susanne?
Our IT department is very big, and we are working very close together with my colleague from the computer center. Doing every kind of presentation, every kind of talks to researchers together with him. So we are really close together. So that's I think that's a good way to manage this. But you are right. Without this knowledge of technical things, we have no chance that we can do anything.
Yeah. Okay.
I saw a raised hand. Silvia Kukunidu wanted to
Yes.
add something.
Yes.
Yes. No, I just wanted to, that I totally agree with Professor Andreas. Indeed, the involvement of several stakeholders is needed. Of course, the library can have the role of a moderator to the discussions and collaborate with all the stakeholders. But of course, the decisions and the culture it is needed to be from in my perspective, from a top-bottom approach.
Yes.
And
Okay.
you have to involve
Yeah.
stakeholders like governments, funders, universities, research institutes, researchers, in order to convince them. But of course, libraries can have a role, but they will not be the decision makers.
Yeah, and you need much money to do this transformation. This transformation is expensive. This is not you can't do it. You can't do it without additional funds. This is no way. You must have additional funds. Otherwise, your steps are too small, and it takes too long to get any change which is really remarkable or visible. So, but I think this is in all European states the same. So we have this problem as well. And yes. Okay, I think we talked a little bit, and I find this discussion give us the impression that we're in one room. So, but we are only in a virtual room, but it is a room. So, and I think now you, Elena, start with your virtual library tour. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Andreas. It was very, very interesting discussion. We need it.
Yes.
After so many years,
yes.
At least virtually. And now it's time to virtually welcome you to our library. Unfortunately, there is no any way, at least for now, to visit our library physically. My colleague Andreas is ready to share his screen and give a tour to us, which means that you can see our library from the visitor's point of view. And we had prepared this tour not because we were expecting pandemia. It was just a need we had in order to promote our library to the public, because we have become a very attracted place. Many people wanted to visit our library, so we wanted to give this opportunity without having many people in the library and disturbing the readers. So Andrea, the screen, it's yours, and I wish you can share it properly.
Okay, thank you very much, Elena.
Just to say that Andreas is a librarian, and he's responsible for the sector of information technology. So he's very much informed about the new technologies and applications in libraries. Thank you, Andreas.
Thank you, Elena. My name is Andreas K. Andreou. I'm a librarian at the University of Cyprus, and I'm going to show you the 3D virtual tour of our library if technology allows me. Before we start, I will share with you the link, which you can use it to take a tour by your own if you want later. And now I'm trying to share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
That's good. Well, I have to say that it's a real pity that you cannot visit our library physically. However, I will try to show it to you as best as possible by this virtual tour. Due to the big number of requests we have from groups, schools, and individuals to visit our library, we have decided to develop this 3D virtual tour in order to give the opportunity to anyone to get an idea by walking virtually through the library. Anyone can access to this tool by clicking on the link I have already sent you. By opening the software, we are in the entrance of the library. There are some buttons here. If you press the 360 buttons, you can see a preview of our library outside. And if we press this welcome man here, we can start entering the library. This is the entrance of our library. And we can, by clicking, we can walk. Can you see my screen moving?
Yes, yes, Andreas, it's working. Yeah.
That's good. So you can walk in the library. As you can see, there are some spots with information. If you put your cursor, you can see some more information about, there is in Greek and English language, information about the shelves, the books, the services we have. So we can walk. I will drive you. I want to drive you to the children department. As you can see, the picture is very clear. You can even read the titles of the books, because of course it's not a real-time pictures. Okay, here is our children department. And in the same way, you can move around all the library. We can also change the floor by clicking here. Let's go to the 3rd floor, where is a panoramic view outside. You can see the shelves, you can see the area outside. Okay, and by walking, you can use you can even use the stairs to go downstairs to the other floor if you want. Okay, this is the 2nd floor. Yeah. Okay, or even you can play a small video, let's say. Our library is called Stelios Ioannou Learning Resource Center and the library by the name of Stelios Ioannou, donator. The donator was his wife by her late husband. The building was designed by the famous French architect Jean Nouvel, who inspired by the surrounding topography, and he designed the building as an artificial hill, if you see it from outside. The building covers a total of approximately 16 meter squares and consists of 5 levels. It houses the library, the information services of the university, computer labs, conference and seminar rooms, audio recording studios, and of course of our offices. This is an impression of our library, and of course, as I told you, you can use it by your own anywhere you want, and you can visit virtually our library. This is the children department.
Thank you, Andrea. This was a nice tour. And I wanted just to add that the library has been co-funded by European Union Development Bank and also the Cyprus government. And the donation of the Stelios Ioannou family was at least the beginning. So the university authorities decided about 15 years ago to build this building for the library of the university. We moved to the library on 2018, and we work only for a year full, 2019. So after that, we had to close. So we didn't see the actual use and the actual details of its operation for a long time. But now, as we are back again, we'll see how we facilitated the community specifically. If you want to ask anything or you have any question about the building or anything else, we are here to discuss. Otherwise, we are finished for today. Laura, I don't know if you want to ask anything.
No, it's just I'm very sorry about these technical issues we had today, which never happened before. So apparently Zoom had some bugs today, and just to tell Andreas that not all online meetings are like that. It usually works. So I'm very sorry for that, because we prepared the conference very well. So sorry, and would like to thank you, the participants, for their patience about this and for staying with us for such a long time, which is a long time for an online meeting. And looking forward to meeting you again tomorrow morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. See you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.